Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Unit 6 discussion here in ST 120. So today we're going to be talking about different biological indicators, things that make sure our sterility have been met, different industry standards according to uh, AAMI, those sort of things, how to properly process those, and a couple of different wrapping and packaging techniques pertaining to sterilization as well. So here are your assignments for this week. A little bit lighter on some of the quizzes this week than others, but you do have this writing assignment that's worth 90 points. This is important, and I'll give you feedback on your resume, your thank you letter, that sort of thing. So it will be beneficial to you to get that in. I can get your notes so you can start applying to jobs if you haven't already. So that would be helpful. All right, so don't forget, again, to respond to your peers in your discussion posts. Several of you are still forgetting to do that. Just to look ahead to next week, because it is a little bit more than normal. I wanted to draw your attention to this, that you do have two larger exams worth 100 points, okay, as well as a couple other assignments. So I didn't want you to be sideswiped because we're closing out the quarter here, right? So Unit 8, the following week, is actually a shortened week because it's more of just like a wrap up, and it actually is only about half a week with one assignment. So these, go ahead and get started on. Work ahead. All right. I want you to wait to the last minute, and it's the night before the quarter closes and you're asking me if you can have an extension. It's probably not going to go well. Okay. So let's talk about record keeping first. So we talk about regulation standards before we get into the sterilizer part. What is important about record keeping? Why does a sterile processing tech have to know how to keep records of what they're doing? Okay, I know a lot of people, think more of like the sterilization side, but as you're doing those things, you have to keep a record of it to know if something went wrong later. You have to have a reference point, so to speak. So if there's ever an issue with a sterilizer or a sterilized item later, maybe it comes back, patients get SSIs, we want to try to figure out why. We're going to start pulling these records of everything that maybe that patient came in contact with, all the sterilized items. So they're going to pull these types of logbooks. Maybe it's digital now, but here's a paper version of what that might look like to try to figure those things out. We want to make sure that our patients are receiving the best possible care. So sometimes we have to go back and correct mistakes. Maybe it was a user error. Maybe it was a faulty piece of equipment. Maybe it was the sterilizer didn't get loaded properly. We've talked about troubleshooting those sterilizers before, so it might be something as simple as that. It could be a little something more complex, but you at least have record of every item that's been sterilized, right? So documentation is required for every step of reprocessing. When you've cleaned it in the ultrasonic, when it got packaged back into its casket, what sterilizer did it go into, what load number, all of that has to be kept track of. So when you're making these records or whatever they end up looking like, here's another example. You want to make sure that it is accurate, legible, and complete. So if in the instance that something does come up later, you can go back and read it. This might be a problem with some people, making sure things are legible. I've seen some student handwriting. It can be difficult. So make sure you're being neat with those things. So with monitoring, you're also going to keep track of different monitoring techniques as well, not just sterilizer load numbers, but literally everything that has to be kept track of. So water quality, checking the water quality, keeping a record of the ultrasonic cleaners, washer decontaminators, the chemical disinfection monitoring. So literally every step. I wasn't joking, literally every step you have to keep track of because, maybe you didn't keep track of the washer decontaminators, but everything else came back good, but there's no record of washer decontaminators. How are you going to know that that was working properly or was used correctly, right? So our process indicators are important. We'll talk a little bit more about this here as we go. You have internal chemical indicators as well as external chemical indicators and biological indicators. So internal ones are going to be the ones inside the tray. Like if it's multiple levels, you have a couple of levels of trays of instruments in some of the bigger caskets. You have to have an internal one in each of those levels. The external one would be on the outside of the casket or on the outside of the packaging. Maybe it's a sticker on an envelope fold that has turned colors. Maybe it's the tape that was used to wrap the envelope fold. That's an external chemical indicator. So those change colors as they go through the sterilizing process. Usually it's like to black or maybe green. I've seen both of those. So that is a chemical indicator. The biological indicator is really the only one that can truly show whether or not something has been rendered sterile or can be considered sterile, right? So the biological indicator would be your little vial of a bacterial spore, depending on your sterilizer. Usually it's like Bacillus thermophilus. That's good for steam. And if it gets killed in that process, then it can truly be considered sterile, right? The other thing you're going to monitor are the physical characteristics of like the sterilizer, like steam, for example. What's the pressure? What's the temperature? How long was it in there? All of that usually it's a digital printout, a readout, like a receipt that gets put with a record. Okay. Also with record keeping, you're going to make sure you list all of these things, okay? When we're talking about our load control and lot number, these are the things you're going to include. The specific sterilizer number. Maybe your facility is quite large and you have multiple sterilizers. Even if your facility is small and you only have one, you're probably still going to have it numbered on the sterilizer number one, steam sterilizer number one, whatever it is. That has to be included so you can go back and reference that. The cycle number, which should be on like your digital printout or on the screen that you'll have to reference. Now the date might be in both or one or the other. The Julian date is still pretty common. I don't love the Julian date, if we're being honest, because I don't think in Julian dates, I guess, is the reason. The Julian date is the number of the day of the year. So, for example, January 1st, the Julian date would be 1, right? January 30th, the Julian date would be 30. So, past that, like, other than like December 31st, 365 days, right? I don't know what the Julian date is, right? I'd have to look at a calendar. So it's fine if you have a calendar and you can look those things up, but just to look at it and glance, be like, oh, okay, I know what day that is. I don't. Or you could use the regular format, usually month to year. So also recorded on your log sheet, you're going to have not only these items, but the specific item being sterilized, what tray of items, exposure time. Your signature needs to be on all of your loads, all of your sterilizer loads, so they can come back and be like, everything else is correct. Maybe, there's nothing wrong with the sterilizer, but your signature keeps coming up on all of these improper loads or wet loads or whatever the issue may be. So might come back being user error. Maybe we just need to do a little bit of just some relearning of something. Maybe we need to do an in-service, right? So that's something they can look at. You're going to record the response of the BI, which is the biological indicator, and the response of the Bowie-Dick test or the DART test, daily air removal test. It should be done daily. All right, so the FDA actually has a play in a big role in not just, I think people focus mostly on food, but FDA has a big role in like medical equipment. They are the one that classify medical devices according to what risk they may have for the patient, like an implant is a class 3. You want to make sure that those are sterilized, correctly, as opposed to just a blood pressure cuff. They make sure all, not just food, but medical equipment are safe to use. So if there's an issue with medical equipment, maybe it's not safe, maybe it malfunctions and causes harm to a patient, that has to get reported to the FDA. They also put out this labeling reusable medical devices for reprocessing. So anything that has to be reprocessed, the FDA has made a document about that. So we really want to emphasize safe reprocessing and things that maybe shouldn't be reprocessed don't accidentally get reprocessed. You have to be very careful with, knowing what can and cannot be reprocessed. Otherwise, you could cause harm to the patient by reprocessing something that shouldn't be, right? And FDA can also issue recalls on devices. So if it comes back, like maybe this particular item used in surgery, this device is causing harm to a patient, there's been a lot of reports on that. They could issue that recall so no one else gets harmed. So the CDC also plays a role here. Heard a lot about the CDC lately. So promotes health by preventing disease. So a lot of our standards or maybe research has come from the CDC based on like sterilization, bloodborne pathogens, that sort of thing. But note the CDC is not a regulatory agency. They just set guidelines. They cannot come out and say, okay, you have to do this. That's not their role. They can appeal to government bodies or other entities that could set those regulations based on their findings, but they cannot set those. They just set the guidelines. Okay. Also important to know the CDC developed the first recommendations for isolation techniques and infection control. So isolation techniques would be like if a patient has TB, tuberculosis, we found that it's better to separate them in a specific room with specific air pressure so they don't spread those germs to somebody else. So they were a part of that. Okay. Now we've talked about AAMI before, so Amy, or however you want to refer to it as, but they're kind of the leading industry standard in sterilization, right? The advancement of medical instrumentation. It is a group of healthcare professionals that deal a lot with sterilization and the guidelines that you're going to see on a daily basis. So they do develop new standards and what we call TIRs, technical information reports, on how to use and care for those items that you're going to see every single day. They also put out publishments, documents that are going to be available to you in your department that are going to be, it says, some of the most widely used resources in sterile processing. So you'll hear it according to AAMI standards all the time. So I wanted to put this on here to show, since we talked about biological monitors and how to record them, this is one example of a 3M test super rapid readout biological indicator, how to read it and then how to record it. So this might be a method you use to record your biological indicators. This video is a few years old, but the process is pretty much the same. Like you're going to see the computer screen that's a little bit older of a Windows version than what we typically have now, but the process is still the same. And also, I just want to point out that it's pretty interesting now that they can do such rapid biological indicator readouts. Like when I first started many years ago, it took 24 hours to read a biological indicator. That's crazy. So if you're waiting to see whether or not those sterilized item in that load with that biological were okay to use, you had to wait a day. Sometimes patients don't have a day, right? Sometimes we need that item that day, right away or something. So now you have some that are read within like 3 hours. That's amazing to me that we've come that far. So I just wanted to point that out to you.
When it comes to sterilization monitoring, 3M A-Test biological indicators have been providing leaders like you with trusted results for over 40 years. The 3M Infection Prevention Solutions team understands how every minute matters in your mission to provide sterile and safe instruments for your patients. The longer it takes to confirm that cycle conditions were adequate to achieve sterilization, the greater the risk of delayed surgeries and instrument shortages. In an emergency, you may need to use implants before lethality has been confirmed with a negative BI result, which puts patient safety on the line. If only you could have the speed you need while delivering the safety patients deserve. Now you can. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System empowers you with the information you need when you need it. Know sooner. Know for sure. 3M A-Test Biological Indicators, helping you do the right thing for patient safety. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System is a super fast, reliable way to monitor steam sterilization processes in healthcare facilities. A-Test Super Rapid Biological Indicators, or BIs, dramatically decrease turnaround time by providing true biological results, faster than ever before. 270-degree Fahrenheit vacuum-assisted BI incubation time is just 1 hour instead of 3. Faster turnarounds make it easier to comply with sterilization guidelines, which helps you provide the highest standard of care for every patient. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System includes biological indicators and challenge packs. 1492V brown cap BIs and associated challenge packs monitor 270-degree and 275-degree Fahrenheit vacuum-assisted steam sterilization cycles. The system also includes the 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490, designed to incubate and automatically read the results of 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout BIs. Other biological indicators are not compatible and cannot be used with this auto reader. Setting up and configuring your 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490 is simple. First, place it on a firm, level surface near an outlet, away from sunlight and incandescent light. The A-Test Auto Reader 490 comes with multiple power plugs for use in different countries. Select the plug appropriate for your country and insert it into an AC grounded outlet. If you plan to use the A-Test web app, connect the supplied Ethernet cable to an Ethernet jack. Once the unit is plugged in, allow it to warm up for 30 minutes. When proper incubation temperature is reached and the A-Test Auto Reader 490 is ready to use, the C1 caution code will disappear. When you press the information button once, the LCD display gives the A-Test Auto Reader 490 serial number, the version of the embedded software, and the current date and time. The bottom row shows the configuration for the BI incubation wells. Press the information button twice to display the IP address if the unit is connected to an Ethernet jack, and the date and time that the Auto Reader 490 was last powered up. To save counter space, auto readers can be stacked 2 units high. Before configuring the wells, make sure the Auto Reader 490 is empty. Press the info and alarm off buttons on the front of the unit simultaneously and hold for 3 seconds to enter the configuration mode. Next, use the up and down buttons to program the clock, buzzer, and incubation well configuration you want. The alarm off button acts as an enter key and moves the flashing cursor to the next changeable setting. Be sure to apply the color-coded sticker that matches the auto reader configuration that you need. Your A-Test Auto Reader 490 is now ready to use. Let's look at how to activate and incubate a super rapid BI in the Auto Reader 490. The first step is to remove the BI or challenge pack from the sterilizer. If using an A-Test Super Rapid Readout BI challenge pack, if desired, scan the 2D barcode on the label to record product catalog number and lot code. Open the challenge pack and allow the A-Test Super Rapid BI to cool for 10 minutes before activating. Check the process indicator on the cap of the BI. A color change from pink to light brown confirms that the BI has been exposed to the steam process. Be sure to label the BI with the sterilizer, load number, and date. Wearing safety glasses, place the A-Test Super Rapid BI in a matching color-coded A-Test Auto Reader 490 incubation well. Make sure the flat side of the vial faces the back of the auto reader. Press the cap of the A-Test Super Rapid BI down firmly to close the cap and crush the glass ampule. Immediately remove the BI and visually verify that the glass ampule has been crushed. Then, flick the vial to cause the purple growth media to flow to the growth chamber at the bottom of the vial. Return the activated BI to the incubation well and check the LCD panel to confirm that the vial is properly seated. The Auto Reader LCD panel will display a series of asterisks, then the remaining incubation minutes right below the incubating BI. Now, all you need to do is wait for the result. Never remove an incubating A-test Super Rapid BI until you see a plus or minus sign on the LCD panel, which indicates the test is complete. The moment a positive result is detected, you'll see a plus sign on the LCD panel directly under the incubating BI. If the sound feature is enabled, you'll also hear an alarm, which you can silence by pushing the buzzer alarm off button. If the audible alarm is disabled and a positive result occurs, the LCD display will flash. To stop the flashing, press the alarm button. When a processed BI returns a positive result, it indicates a failure in the steam sterilization process. A negative result, which indicates a successful sterilization process, will only appear at the end of the full incubation period. At the end of the 1-hour incubation time for 1492 VBIs, if a negative result is detected, you will see a minus sign on the LCD panel directly under the BI. Each day that a processed 1492 VBI is incubated, activate and incubate an unprocessed 1492 VBI as a positive control. The positive control should be from the same lot code as the processed biological indicator. The positive control BI should provide a positive fluorescent result. After a BI test is complete, the next step is to record your results. You can use traditional record-keeping methods or the 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490 web app. The 1492 VBI is normally discarded after the fluorescent result has been recorded. But if you're conducting a special study, you have the option to further incubate 1492 VBIs for a visual pH color change result. In the case of the positive control BI, you will see a yellow color change of the growth media and/or non-woven material within 48 hours. Any evidence of yellow color within the vial indicates a positive result. In the case of a processed 1492 VBI, a color change from purple to yellow of the growth media and/or non-woven material indicates a sterilization process failure. A negative pH color change result, where the media and non-woven material remains purple or blue, can be assessed after 48 hours of incubation. The 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490 offers additional functionality online. Once you connect to the A-Test web app, you can remotely view the current status of incubating BIs using a computer or smartphone. The web app also allows you to remotely view and configure A-Test Auto Reader 490 settings, view results for the last 100 BI tests, save records for your electronic files, and print records for your paper files. To connect to the A-Test web app, follow the step-by-step instructions in the A-Test Auto Reader 490 Operator's Manual. Once connected to the A-Test web app on your computer or smartphone, you'll see the status page, which provides a real-time view of the A-Test Auto Reader 490 configuration and LCD panel display. The current date and time and Auto Reader 490 serial number are also displayed on this page. From here, you can navigate to a history page showing the results of the last 100 BI incubations and results detail pages by clicking on the well number of an occupied well. The A-Test web app makes it easy to create records of BI test results. After inserting a BI in the A-Test Auto Reader 490, open the results detail page for that BI by clicking on the corresponding well number from the status page. Enter the specific information for that BI in the empty form fields. Once the BI result is available, print or file the results detail page to create an individual record for the incubated BI. The Auto Reader 490 stores results for the last 100 incubated BIs on embedded software. The web app history page provides a summary of these results. The A-Test Auto Reader 490 can be configured using the buttons directly on the unit. But you can also configure the unit remotely using the A-Test web app. Go to the configuration page to customize the incubation wells. Enable or disable the audible alarm and assign a nickname to your A-Test Auto Reader 490. To learn more about using the A-Test Auto Reader 490 web app, see your operating manual. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System works fast, which can reduce the risk of emergency release of instruments and implants. This helps to keep you compliant with CDC, AORN, and AMI guidelines. Greater speed can also quicken instrument turnaround, which translates to better start time accuracy and case duration rates. And with faster instrument turnaround, you may not need to purchase or maintain as many instrument sets. Surgeons getting what they need when they need it. That leads to improved surgeon satisfaction. As surgical delays decrease, patients may be more satisfied too. Should a recall ever occur, having a prompt BI result can help you take action faster. The ATEST Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System also offers peace of mind. You know the OR will have what they need faster than ever. And you know that every patient under your watch is more likely to receive the highest level of sterilization assurance possible. The ATEST Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System is another great innovation from the 3M Infection Prevention Solutions team, delivering you peace of mind by helping you do the right thing for patient safety. Need help using the ATEST Autoreader 490 and
I'll go ahead and
ATEST
stop
Web
it
app?
there. So hopefully that was beneficial to you just in multiple ways. A, to be exposed to what the biological indicator is, how you're going to load it onto the reader, and how to keep record of it. So there's a lot of important little steps and details along the way. So it's really important to be one that pays attention to detail, not just with this, but throughout the entire job, right? Our patients depend on not just accurate record keeping, but paying attention to those details every step of the way. There's a lot of little things that have to be done in order to ensure patient safety, right? So if you have any questions throughout this week or that big writing project, please reach out to me. If you still have a few assignments that are not turned in, please get those in ASAP, okay? I can still give you some credit for those if you get those turned in. Don't wait until, week 8 to tell me you have to turn in all these assignments, okay? So here's my email. If you need to reach out to me, we could set something up otherwise outside those hours. All right, have a great week.